All right, folks. Oscar here with Show Me Sentinel. I'm here with Ali Graeff. Ali, thanks for coming out today. We're here at the Return to Hand Counting demonstration that Secretary of State Denny Hoskins has set up here at the state capitol in Jeff City. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have going on.
So, Ali Graeff, and I am a committee woman in St. Charles County. I started this looking into the machines after the 2020 election, and I saw them literally, the numbers flip on the TV. Started to look into how are they doing that, and so I started looking into the machines, which I'm a real estate agent, and it started, yeah, that helps, thanks. So it started with looking at the contracts. So if you have here, these are the laboratories, Pro V&B, so these are Pro V&B. So it says here, under Missouri law, that you have to, in order for an electronic system to be approved by Denny, Secretary of State, it has to be tested and certified by an independent authority that meets the voting system standards. So let's go over here and look at the voting system standards. 3.6.1, Certificate of Accreditation, which is what these are, shall be signed by the chair of the commission. So just off the bat, that's the acting elective director, and that is a interim executive director, none of which are the chairman, which makes this a fraudulent certificate. But then if you take it further, you see back in 2015, they actually had the dates correct. To be compliant, this one, which is the effective date of the certification, shall not exceed 2 years. But then during COVID, they added 52 U.S. Code 20971, which is not even relevant to the EAC. It has to do with the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, their recommendation to the EAC for the laboratories. So this is not compliant either. So you've got all of these laboratories, so you've got SLI compliance and you've got Pro V&B that are not, they don't meet the voting system standards. So this hand counting is a necessity. This isn't just a Secretary of State placating the grassroots. This is a necessity because we have fraudulent certificates. We have big problems that have not been answered that I believe, and I've been fighting for about 4 years to try to get answered. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh yeah, you know what? Let me do one more thing. So this is the biggest FOIA you've ever seen. I actually asked the EAC, what I seek is any record when the EAC subdelegated any duty of any kind to the executive director. The EAC does not possess any records to my request. So you can see here, they were never given permission. The executive directors, the interim executive directors, the acting executive directors, nobody was ever delegated their duties to sign that. So they're fraudulent certificates right off the bat.
Very good, Ali. So one of the, I had this big event brought out Kurt Barr, the director of St. Charles County Election Integrity, I think. So had an opportunity to interview him, and he seemingly stands behind the machines. He
still approves.
So what, in a perfect world, how would you see voting integrity occur?
Hand counting, removal of all the machines. I just don't trust the machines. And even if they were to go back, if DOJ goes through and cleans out the agency, the federal agency of the Election Assistance Commission, and makes them all compliant, the problem is these certificates go back to 2009. The last time that a chairman signed this, which is per the law, was 2009. So they have been deceiving, and it's been a procedure for a very long time. So they've lost the trust of the people. I would say, completely remove all of the machines and just go back to hand counting.
So Kurt had brought up that, the manpower was a big issue for that. Yep. And he told me that, every election would take an extra, on top of what's already spent, $500,000 to accomplish the extra manpower that's needed for the hand counting ballot process. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to that?
Actually false. Kurt Barr says a lot of things that aren't true. So he just wants to keep his machines, but it's just categorically false. So, in fact, Linda had just said that they had done hand counted them all. In fact, St. Charles didn't even have, you could have had 2 tables of hand counters and it done before the end of right after the polls closed. Instead, Kurt Barr was the last one. St. Charles County was the last one. In fact, it wasn't until after 10 o'clock where we got the results on the last 2 elections. I'm not sure he has a whole lot of room to speak on that.
Yeah. So, so Secretary of State Denny Hoskins set this all up and had an opportunity to interview him. Prior to me talking to him today, he had mentioned, I knew that there were at least 80,000 fraudulent voters that were out there, and he confirmed today that there's actually in the 3 months that he's been in office, 150,000 voters that were taken off the scrolls. So do you want to speak to that and how it gives you confidence?
It's concerning that, and you mentioned Kurt Barr, that Kurt Barr just on Monday asked to destruct records from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2021, 22, and 23. He wanted to destruct them all. And with that finding, with all these, dead people that were on the voter rolls.
Civil War, soldiers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. So why would an election director ask to destruct records when even the Secretary of State just said, we just had all of these on our voter rolls? Don't you think we should be at this pivotal point in time where you have a new administration on a federal, on a state level? Why would you be destructing records, right? And so I think that a lot more stuff is going to come out. I think Denny's just begun finding things, and I think he is the right man for the job, and I think he's definitely going to be looking into that and more. So, but I think that, if you're watching this and you see, you hear your election director, that they're on the destruction schedule and they want to destruct the records, I think we need to be preserving all of the records because it shows pattern, not only with dead people voting, but you've got all this mess. So
right, in 2020 election as well.
Yeah, so we ended up fighting Barr specifically on that, and the council removed 2020 from the destruction. So they did approve the rest of them, which is unfortunate, but at least 2020 is preserved.
Very good. Well, thank you, Ali, for all that you do, and
see you, Oscar.
Yeah. So Oscar with Show Me Sentinel, and here with Ali Graeff, and everybody here at the hand counting demonstration. Thank you.